Hi, folks. How are you? God, it's a Monday. It is a Monday, and it has just been go, go, go since like 6 o'clock this morning. But it's an important day, so I am here. We are voting today through June 6th. And so I have a couple of things. I'm still adding things to my screen. So if you will allow me to just keep adding things to my screen. A couple things we're going to do today is where's my reasons? We are going to go back. So today is voting day. We have 5 candidates that are running for the board. There are 2 seats open, and our candidates are Wayne Anderson and Lee Fawcett. We have Deb Harris and Neil Watts, and then we have Bob Martin. And it should be quite the election. I have a call into the office because we only got one ballot. We did not get one for both of our properties in Fairfield Harbor, so I have to rectify that. But I am under the impression from reading the email that my husband did get that in addition to voting for the 2 candidates that you want to have fill the 2 open positions on the board, there's also a place to notate whether you approve or not the board meeting minutes from the annual meeting in 2024. You heard that right, folks. I honestly can't even tell you everything I've done since my eyes opened at 5:30 this morning. There's no way in hell, given every single thing that we have done in this past year in Fairfield Harbor, all of the communications, all of the meetings, all of the candidates' nights, all of the different events, the parades and everything, there's no way that we remember what happened on June 26th, 2024 at last year's annual budget or annual meeting to be able to approve or not the meeting minutes. There's also something that I will say, in so much that the annual meeting minutes from the June 26th, let me just add one more screen here. Let me share this screen. If we look on Front Steps today, the board meeting minutes for the June 26th, 2024 annual meeting are not out here in the folder. I have looked everywhere, but I do have them downloaded because I download everything that we put out on Front Steps. And so I have them and we're going to review them. But I do think it's important that if folks are going to look for them now, they do not currently exist in the 2024 folder for on Front Steps for POA board meeting minutes. I have keyword searched. I have looked in the 2025 folder thinking maybe they moved. I looked in the 2023 folder thinking maybe they had moved. But I don't see them out there. So I say all of that to say this one place I am going to share with you. I do have the annual meeting minutes from that June 26th meeting here. We are going to review them together. But first, we are going to watch the board meeting. It was an hour and 45 minutes live in person. Al recorded it, so it's really, really good. Let me just share. You know what? You know what I don't know? Let me stop this because I didn't look to see, am I sharing the audio on this? I am sharing the audio. Okay. Take 3. All right. So we're going to watch this. I am going to game this up to a playback speed of 1.25. I am going to game up the audio not to blow your eardrums out. I'll try to talk lower, but I will be making sure that we can hear what's here. Okay, so let's play this annual meeting. I am going to try my damnedest to not interrupt here. Okay, but we're going to watch the meeting so we refresh our memory of what happened last year, maybe take some notes along the way, and then we will compare that to the board meeting minutes that were posted and now I no longer see on front steps, but we'll review those together. Okay, all right, here we go. All right, let's just stop really quick. So at the time of last year's annual meeting, the president was Gail Albertini, the vice president was Tina McLam, director Robert Broody, director Les Pendleton, director David Peppercorn, secretary Rhonda Miller, and treasurer Kevin Hydell. These are community manager, community coordinator, point club manager. Oh, I love seeing Morgan there. Lots of friendly faces. There's Mona. David. Kevin. Kathleen. Chris. Dawn. There's Rich. We can read the names underneath those folks. I do again have this going at 1.25 speed. Right. Let's get to the meeting.
To the 2024 annual meeting, and we're going to start off in. Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go.
Welcome to the
I'm going to mute
2024
myself and
annual
open my
meeting.
ginger.
And we're going to start off in evening tonight. I'm Gail Albertini. Glad everyone could come on this hot balmy night. Yeah. And so, first of all, I want to thank Rick for the streaming here and for Al Asher here for doing the video recording. But we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I will just say really fast, I love the flag hanging like this. When it's on the thing and it's just kind of hanging down and it's in the stand, you can't really see it, especially if we're videotaping. I really like this presentation of the flag.
Okay, so this is our agenda for the evening. But at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation.
Okay, so the agenda is the welcome, the Pledge of Allegiance, which we are done and done. We're going to call to order and establish a quorum, done, or will do here shortly. Introduction of current board of director members and guests, approval of the 2023 annual membership meeting minutes. Again, I don't know why it takes a year to approve the meeting minutes from a meeting the year before. So anywho, the board and committee reports, announcement of new board members, installation of new board members, and adjournment of annual meeting. Okay, so that's the agenda before they open it up to Q&A. That's important to note because that will be in the meeting minutes, should be in the meeting minutes.
Michael. She is our attorney from Jordan Price, and she is going to be our parliamentarian tonight to take care of some preliminary business.
Some of you might have heard that I fell about a month ago and broke both of my wrists. So I consider this a testament to hand therapy that I was able to get the mic out with this one. So we are going to try, if we have a quorum, to approve the minutes from last year. We have at least 100 households who are here tonight. I'm going to ask Rick how many we have that are joining us by live stream. Rick, are we ready for that count?
We have 159 right now.
159. So we do have a quorum established, and so that the people who are online and live streaming can participate. The way we are going to ask for approval of the minutes is if there are any objections, because it's a whole lot easier to count people objecting to something that's so perfunctory than it is people approving, particularly with Rick's trying to capture that in the comments. So if you are online and live streaming and you object to the adoption of the minutes, please indicate that in the comments. If you object to the approval of the 2023 annual meeting minutes and you're here in person, please signify by raising your hand. There are no objections from the audience. Rick, I'll give you just a minute to see if there are any objections online.
Give me just a second.
Okay. And I will say that this will be the last you'll have to put up with me until the Q&A, so don't get worried that the parliamentarian has to run a whole lot of
Don't
meetings
pick
tonight.
with
But
us
I
like
do not see any
that.
objections.
there being no objection, the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting.
Okay, so
are
there were
being
no
approved,
objections
Madam
of the
Chair, and
159
I'm
families
sure
that made up the
President
quorum at last year's annual meeting. So 0 objections, so the meeting minutes from the 2023 meeting
Okay,
stood.
so at this time, I want to introduce our team. Gail Albertini. We have Jennifer Goditis, who's our POA
And again,
manager.
for those that are just joining, I am running this at 1.25 speed because it's like an hour and 45 minutes.
We have Tina McLean, Vice
Actually, it's a
President.
full-time job
We have
and stuff
David
too, so
Feffercorn,
I'm just doing this
Director.
during my
We have
lunch.
Rob Rudy, Director. We have Steve Steinbeck speaking about stormwater today, but Les Middleton couldn't be with us. We have Brian Joyner, who is going to talk to you about the Harbour Club. He's going to talk to you about the golf course and the point. And we have Kevin Heidel, who is our new treasurer. And we have Rich Miller down here, who is our retiring treasurer. And we have Rhonda Miller, our secretary. Okay, so we did that. Good. All right, do we live in a great place or what?
I might have to up the speed on this a little bit more. Sorry. A real long intro. Friendly faces. These are great photo collages.
Thank you, Rick and Julie Phylis for that video. It's great. I'd also like to send out some more special thanks to Will Caldwell and his team for setting up today. Yay, Will. Larry Bazin and David Liverpool for the sound equipment. Al Asher, yay, David, and really hot this afternoon too. They did a fine job. Al Asher for the video. Rick Finlayson for the live streaming. All the volunteers who manned the front entrance. Right. Terry Knickerbocker for the use of the stage. And our POA staff office, Jennifer Goditis, Kathleen Gooch, Cindy Barker, and please welcome Beth Strange, our new administrative assistant. All right, so I've been in Fairfield Harbor about 20 years, and I've come to love the place. I'd like to know what you like about Fairfield Harbor. Well, what do you like about Fairfield Harbor the most? You just saw a video talking about all the great things that we have here. What's your favorite thing about Fairfield Harbor?
The beauty of it.
Let's give this girl a prize. Guy Greg, you haven't been here that long, but what do you think? What's your favorite thing about Fairfield Harbor so far?
That's really easy. My favorite thing is the people. When we made our decision to come here, we looked at a lot of places. We love the water, love golf, but it was the people. Everybody waves. Everybody says hi. A little different than Jersey.
You give this man a prize. All right, let's see. Bob. I had you myself.
Best thing about Fairfield are the neighbors.
Neighbors, all right. Okay, let's see. All right, here's a good victim. Sally, what do you think?
You guys. The natural beauty, the tranquility, just all of the amenities, and smiling faces, happy people.
Excellent. I'll go for that. We're going to get you a special prize. All right, here's somebody that looks like he wants to talk. What do you like, Wayne?
Well, I've been here 23 years, and I think what brought us down was coming down with friends, and also you were your family followed you down with 2 or 3 other contingencies come down. But the overall layout, and I've been here 23 years, so I've seen what good. And I came down with the layout, and the way everything was very accessible to us. Near a small town, but not too close to us to the town. The people themselves is what makes this place, so I'm sure that's the majority of the feelings of most people.
Absolutely. I think so too. All right, let's see. Who wants to go next? Any volunteers? All right, I don't see you volunteering. What do you think? What do you like, line dance?
I love line dancing, but I've also been here for 20 years, and I like the fact that each year it gets better. The movements are wonderful, and I hope it continues.
Absolutely. Fantastic. All right, so now we're going to start the meat of our presentation. And we're going to start off with Team Atlanta. But give me just a minute here to get our video switched over.
Again, for those that have joined, I'm running this at 1.25 speed just to try to speed it up a little
When I
bit.
had the opportunity to run the board of directors, I was unsure at first. I knew it was such a big responsibility. I stepped up because it seemed like after 20 years in Fairfield Harbor, it was my time to be one of the many stewards of this amazing community. It was time to give back. And I do need stewards. Do you know there have been 80 directors in Fairfield Harbor since 1982? And each of them contributed their time and talent and countless hours to serve Fairfield. Thank you to the former directors for your time and service to dedicated Fairfield Harbor. And yes, a director is a steward of sorts. Directors are people who are charged with the careful, responsible management of our community for an allotted period of time. And you, as the voting members, are our peers that voted for us and entrusted us with the management of Fairfield. But the board is here to serve as the community's voice and guide. As board members, our position is one of service, not control. New ideas and opinions are welcomed. They're not perceived as insults or threats. And as directors, we can't know everything. We have to rely on Jennifer and Kathleen as managers and hope for our legal advice, consultants, and committees. And the committee volunteers really run this community. Thank you to all the committee members who give so much of your time and talent to Fairfield. From stormwater to safety and security to PCC to special events to road game, we have 13 different committees here and approximately 100 to 125 members at any one given time. Our volunteers personify community spirit. So please stand up if you're a committee member or a past committee member. Let's give these people a round of applause. But we need more volunteers. Our neighborhood is chock full of talented people in various walks of life. Some are retired, some still working. We have educators, seasoned managers in a variety of fields, financial planners, medical personnel, and more. We need volunteers in at least 5 committees, an election secretary, and I'm a roving reporter for the Beacon. Julie and Mick Ellison have done an outstanding job on taking our online newsletter to the next level, and the clubs contribute their articles. But we need more help. Wouldn't it be nice to have a roving reporter that went out and photographed and covered some of the events that we have here? So the Beacon and the Friday Update are 2 of our major communication pieces for Fairfield business. Please read them. But if you're interested in being a volunteer for some of these fun and rewarding positions, please stop by the POA office and leave your contact information. So Fairfield is run by volunteers. We're not a town with a massive staff of paid employees, but we are like a town in size and maintenance responsibilities. We sit on 2,000 acres with 36 miles of paved roads, more than 10 miles of golf courses, and golf course paths, an 18-hole golf course, 3,600 feet of seawalls, 2 marinas, and more. No county, state, federal, or grant money comes into Fairfield to maintain our sweet little spot here in eastern North Carolina. All Fairfield is maintained by dues and non-dues. So let's talk about the board's responsibilities. The board's fiduciary duty is to manage the financial affairs of the community. The board of directors is charged with the community's financial health by using effective management practices and sound business principles. Okay, so this is one closer. The board paves the way for the committees to do their job, and the directors have a legal and ethical obligation to enforce the association's governing documents and abide by all applicable laws. So the board holds regular meetings as defined by the governing documents. Fairfield residents are always welcome to attend open meetings. Our board meeting is small, so please make sure you make a reservation so we can plan accordingly. Directors are always available to listen to suggestions or concern and answer any questions you may have. All right, so the homeowner's responsibility. When we moved to Fairfield, you set the contractual and ethical responsibility to abide by established policies and meet your financial obligations. Your real estate agent or your closing attorney should have provided you with a copy or made you aware of the DORs, declarations of restrictions, and the association dues. Most of these DORs involve just being courteous and considerate of neighbors and respectful of everyone's rights and investments in the community. These are the rules set forth by our governing documents and bylaws. These rules ensure harmony and respect for all residents. But we do strive for an effective balance between the preferences of individual residents and the collective rights of all the homeowners. So directors and residents should be reasonable, flexible, and open to the possibility and benefits of compromise, especially when faced with divergent views. And in Fairfield today, we do have a list of divergent views. One of the big items on that list is the Harbour Club. And I can assure you that the Harbour Club will be one of the first agenda items once the whole new board is fully seated. But we can disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable. When neighborhoods are safe and harmony exists, that boosts our property values. We have a great reputation in the place that we live. So Fairfield has its own history, personality, and challenges. But we want to see Fairfield Harbor regain its true sense of community. Building community spirit requires soliciting opinions and input of residents, but this dialogue needs to be respectful and an appropriate forum, and it's not necessarily Facebook. Lately, Facebook and social media have damaged our community spirit. It's become toxic. It's not good for our emotional or physical health. Please, let's put an end to social media nastiness. Let's keep social media reserved for catching up with family and friends. If you have an issue, pick up the phone or make an appointment with a director or POA manager, review the situation, and have a solution ready to discuss. So make Fairfield Harbor the place you want to call home and where you feel at home, where you embrace community spirit. There's a difference between living in a community and being part of a community. Being part of that community means sharing with your neighbors a common desire to promote harmony, contentment, and community spirit. So let's embrace that sense of community spirit. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me? I'm Tina McLam. I'm the liaison between the board and the Safety and Security Committee. And prior to being on the board, I was part of the Safety and Security Committee. So now I'm the liaison. The past accomplishments of the Safety and Security Committee, the number one to me is the speed limit was lowered from 35 to 30 miles per hour. The 25 miles per hour being the national residential standard. Maybe we'll get to that one day. The stop signs we added at Cara and Pelican, it's a 3-way stop now, and it was intended for people to stop, even though I see people are not stopping. At least they're slowing down some. And as a matter of fact, one of our committee members, John Simpson, ran a report, and from May 2023 to May 2024, he captured all the speeders at 40 miles per hour and above. And in 2023, there were actually 462 speeders with a high speed of 57 miles per hour. Yep. And in 2024, there were only 86% and lowered the top speed by 9 miles per hour. And we're very proud of that. We have to do better. The stop sign over at Coral Reef and Royal Pines was moved so that the people that coming through the gate would not get stuck at the gate. So it moves more freely now. And that seems to be working well, I heard. They contracted with a new security company, Sun States, and updated the SOP standard operating procedures and the gate procedures. We want to try to capture everybody that comes through that gate. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they're getting a little more strict on people coming and going. And we need that to keep our community safe. And we need to know who's coming and going. For this coming budget year, we plan, or the Safety Security Committee, I still feel like I'm part of it, even though I'm the liaison. The plan is to upgrade security cameras with newer technology. Our radio frequency identification, or RFID, is going to be used to identify people or objects, and it's going to be used at the main gate and all the other gates. So the long-range readers at the gates can actually read the sticker that you're going to get for your vehicle from 6 to 8 feet out. The new technology is advanced cameras, and we're going to get more of them so we can look at places like Red Tail Park, The Point, where we don't have cameras right now. All the activities will be recorded, and people coming through the gate will be recorded so we can track pretty much everything. And one good thing is with this is that we can lock and unlock doors with remote access. So if somebody wants to go to the activity center, the PLA manager or someone can just unlock it with their phone. All gates except the main gates will have an intercom or QR code. And the fiber optic and security camera company are working together to make this happen. And I understand that once the contract is signed, it will be about 30 to 40 days after that when this will be implemented. And that's all I have. I'm proud of their accomplishments.
I'll take things in my own hands. Good evening, everybody. Everybody warm enough? My report is with Birdland Marina and the shoreline seawall repairs that we've done. The Birdland Marina was completely rebuilt using much heavier lumber, and we're using the decking was made out of the cement hot slat material, which we replaced 3 docks at our place up at Pamlico Beach, and now we went hot slats and we've gone through 3 hurricanes with no problem. So we won't have that problem again. The water comes right up past them. No matter how high the water gets here, if it's like Florence again, the docks will still be there, which is a wonderful thing to be able to have. The supporting pile, the few body piles we have were removed and replaced. Much heavier lumber is on the thing. If you see the picture there, you can see the lumber that's going out surrounding the hot slats is very heavy, and the docks are built to last. As far as the seawall is concerned, vinyl material that has been backfilled and gravel filled and all that. So you can see from the pictures here that it's a very nice look that we've got, and it's going to last. It won't cave in. We still have a lot of work to go. If you can see the other pictures that we've got there, the seawall that's remaining, we've got about 3,000 feet of seawall. So we've still got some work to go, and that's going to be scheduled probably starting November, December of next year, this coming year. But we think we're very happy with what we're doing, and we're going to be starting on the shoreline marina. That construction will probably start around November, December as well. And we're going to make the shoreline marina just like the Birdland marina. We're going to use the hot slats. And so again, that'll be much less of a maintenance issue in the future. But we look forward to having a wonderful boating season with our new marinas, and you'll be able to enjoy the seawall without having to stand at the edge of the water without having to worry about falling in. That's my report. I'm sorry, I left out my enhancement committee report. We had the signs that we have around the harbor, 75% of them are completed right now. The billboard attracts a lot of new golf members there. As you can see our new billboard out on 55. We're hoping soon we'll have that 55 lot leased out to going business, and we'll be able to make some more revenue out there. But right now, we've noticed that a lot of new golfers have come to the golf course now. They said they didn't realize there was another golf course here. We're right about 55, and they just see our new sign, and we've increased our golfing interest in the golf course tremendously since that sign has gone up. And Kevin, when he gives his report, he showed that our revenue from the golf has certainly risen in the past months. As far as the new banners are concerned, I'm sure you've seen them on the entrance. We've had the Road Gang, the Castaways, Quilters, and the Fairfield Harbour Course banners are up now. And since those have been up about a month or so, we've now gotten 2 more orders, two more orders of more banners. And we'd like to see all 65 clubs here have their own banner out there. So we just have flags all the way around this place. It'd be great. That's my report.
My name is Bob Green. I'm the liaison for roads and streets. This past year,
see on the screen becomes paving, repair things. Next year, we're going to be, or this year, we're going to be working on golf cart paths 1, 10,
Again, for
11,
those
13,
just
14,
joining,
15,
I am watching this back at 1.5 speed, just so I can try to do this during a long lunch. If you have trouble, don't hesitate to just message me, okay? I'll put a link to this recording in the description after we're done.
Not run over Peninsula and over at Brigantine, depending on what's available, and we're back to work with stormwater so that we don't fix it and have to tear it up. So we haven't blown our whole budget, we save some, but there is more to do. Okay, the golf advisory panel has done some changes. We're trying to get more people from outside of Harbour to spend money in our place. Sorry about the list, I broke my teeth. And they're being repaired. But we've some of this is electronic tracker that they use in tournaments, which is more popular for golfers. I don't understand it because I'm not a golfer, but they like it. There's rack carts in town, different places to promote this golf course. Banners in the clubhouse. There's set up systems where from other golf courses, they come here, we go there, and it's a discount rate. The idea is get them to play our course, and maybe they'll like it better. And of course, the social media stuff, we're trying to get it over there too. Again, promotions to try to bring more golfers to our golf course, so we can get more money that's not huge money.
Good evening, and welcome to a little brief presentation of the Stormwater Committee. I'm a substitute, so I'm a third stringer, so be patient with me. I'm just an old retired geologist who used to do consulting all over the state of North Carolina. I first came here in 1978, so I have a little history back here. I was dealing with things like groundwater, wastewater, and a little bit of water supply, and they tried to get sewage in the ground, and I said, no, hell no. It won't work because of multiple reasons. You've got soils that are hybrid, wet soils, you've got high groundwater, you've got some soils and clay, some with organic. So the natural resource that has drawn all of us here is also the challenge of managing stormwater. So we're faced right off with water tables that are just slightly above the river level. And water tables go up and down, as you know, like a sawtooth curve, based on research we've done over the years. But the interesting thing is we don't have relief. That's the difference in elevation and topography. We don't have it. We're relatively flat. If we get a 1% grade, we're tickled to death. That's why your golf course is sculpted the way it is, because they have to have drainage. We don't have a system of ditches. And I want to emphasize this one point if you get nothing out of this presentation. Those are not drainage ditches. Those are wastewater management systems. Some are swales, and some are retention basins. So many times we have to retain the water on site along the roadways or property lines until they can infiltrate and go down into the groundwater. So it's all groundwater fed. And that's a beautiful thing. Being an old geologist, you put water in, you take water out. And all of us drink from the calcium aquifer. Yes, got a little calcium magnesium in it, but a little treatment, it's not too bad. But that's the important thing to remember. So you are responsible as homeowners for maintenance of the drainage that's on your property. And most of us, not all, have a swale along the front property line parallel to the roadway. Some of us have swales along property lines. In fact, we're seeing more and more of that, and they've got to be maintained by private individuals or homeowners. We get a little bit of money in the budget each year to do some repairs, and we're decades behind in doing that. We went, I hate to say how many decades, at least 30 that I know of, and there was really no maintenance done. So we have a number of. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. It's ringing in my ears so bad, I'm going to have to take these out. I can hear myself. I'm sorry for that. I apologize. Okay. So we have some money for repairs, and I think there's a distinction we need to make between maintenance and repairs. Maintenance is the owner's responsibility. You mow it, you keep debris out of it, you keep sedimentation from accelerating into your swale, and you also need to occasionally clean out your drain under your driveway. Where we come in with repair, and it's different from maintenance, was when there's been significant subsidence of the swale, where we have to go in and reestablish the invert of the swale so we get more storage. The good thing about a dry spell, the water table's down, so we're not going to have flooding anytime soon. The groundwater is significantly down right now, and it's all causes a little aches with our grass, but that's not a bad thing. You'll get bigger roots and they'll come back. Let me give you an update of some things that the club meets once a month. But the work does not start there. It starts. It's not there. It starts. Every month we have a meeting. It lasts about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And this committee is Ray cannot be here tonight because he's at this very moment on his way to Bermuda. Ray's international senator today, so he's on his way to Bermuda via Charlotte. And the liaison for this committee, who is my old roommate, is the reason I'm here, and my wife is Les Pendleton, and Les is the liaison to our committee, and he's also out of traffic. So let me give you a brief update of what we've been up to. It's going to be just a summary. The biggest thing we've done this past year, and it's something that I started working on a few years ago, and that is developing a two-tier permit for land development. We're now at the point of seeing land and property for residential development that is more challenging. I mean, most of the good lots, the high dry lots, are gone and developed and improved. There are lots that have remained for whatever reason haven't been built on. Many times it's because of high water table or it's a depression. So those lots require significant enhancement. And that could mean more swales on sidelines. It could mean bringing in fill. And unfortunately, that means cutting down more trees because trees don't like fill material. You cover a tree with about a foot of soil, it's killing the root system because the oxygen off and they die. Now, if y'all love pine trees, welcome to the plantation. I despise pine trees. I like them as a woodworker, but I don't like them around my house, and I damn sure don't like them on the driveway. You know why? Because now I gotta get that darn sap off of it again. Okay, so what we've done is look at land development, then look at permitting for the building sites. So now what the committee gets in, the stormwater committee goes in and looks at the land, what's going to have to be done as far as improvements by the builder, and we get that done before we give an approval to the BCC for a building permit. That's been a big improvement, and thanks to coordination with the POA office, Jennifer and Kat and others, that system is now working well. It's not perfect. We still have to do a few things, but trying to get the land improved correctly and meeting all of the conditions before the building permit was absolutely a necessity, which is now in place. Once those improvements are done, then the stormwater committee will give a certification to for land development to the PCC. So now that has a stopgap. In other words, they don't get a building permit until the builder has made those required improvements. A few of the stormwater accomplishments is we regraded the swale on San Antonio Domingo Court, which is long overdue. We're doing some research on the Gondolier Peninsula. That's been ongoing for a while, and that's going to continue. And then regrading the culvert restoration on Crooked Creek. And I would add that we have numerous customer owner contacts. If you have an issue with your swale or have a question about anything related to drainage, call the office. Don't call me. Jennifer or her staff. They'll make sure we get involved. They're very good about this. Hey, Steve, I got a call from somebody down the street from you on Royal Pines. Can you go check it out? We do that. So most of our time is done in the field, looking at sites, visiting with property owners, and working on enhancing our challenging drainage issue. By the way, I see Maury back here. He's on our committee, and he brings a great amount of historic and institutional. Stand up, Maury. He's still contributing after all these years. Every committee needs somebody with an institutional memory. That's one of the problems with our board. We don't keep institutional memories. 3 years, you're done. You're gone. So Maury and people like him who stay on committee for multiple years help us because we say, oh, yeah, we did that 5 years ago. All right, so some of this work is planned. This is not all, but this is what's in the pipeline now. There's going to be a culvert replacement on 4 reefs and working time with some maintenance. By the way, I add that whoever said corrugated steel pipe would last forever needs to come to Fairfield Harbour and do an inventory. They're all having to be replaced. Right now, some have collapsed, others are in the phase of being collapsed. So if you see depressional areas over your roadway, call the office. That could be part of the collapse. Now, then some of those related to water and sewer distribution, but our culverts that are made out of corrugated steel have to be replaced, no questions. That requires cooperation with the Roads and Streets Committee because we don't want them to pave over the pipe that's got to be replaced. So we're going to coordinate with them. So there's 5 road replacement culverts that are going to be replaced, cleaned, and regraded with new outlets and retention barriers on Gondolier Drive, Trade Winds, Blue Cove Ridge Road, before paving. And I say that before paving, not after paving. I hate it when you get the construction sequence mixed up. And then we got a real challenge on our hands in our neighborhood. We got to find some solutions for drainage issues along the Harbour Drive area. That's a real challenge, and we got to work with the golf course folks too on that. So that's and another condo project down there. Long term, again, I mentioned all corrugated pipe has to be replaced. Homeowners responsible, please remain your responsibility. If you have an issue, call the office. We will respond. I promise you, we will respond. And again, enjoy life on the river.
Okay, River. All right, I'm Gail Abatini, and I'm going to talk to you about a few things. Fiber. And so we have Host America here tonight. They are giving out the water. That's a good thing, huh? Thank you, Host America. But anyway, Host America is with our partners with them on the Fairfield Harbour Network, this utility that we own. Okay. Okay. So what this means is we're going to have. First of all, I'd like to give Phil Hewitt credit for this. He is the one that brought Harbour to this community. So all the credit goes to Phil for this. And basically, fiber is a new utility. In the old days, it was sewer and water. Okay, I know a very wealthy man in Jacksonville who moved to an area that didn't have any water or sewer. And he started his own company. He started his own utilities. And that's what we have an opportunity to do here, is start our own utility with fiber. But you can't do it without internet anymore, that's for sure. So we own this utility. The basic package is $119.99 per month plus taxes and government fees, with the internet fees up to $300. We have 72 cable stations and extras like HBO and premium channels are on the card. But this is also unlimited calling. So anyway, you can sign up for the early bird special, which America is here tonight. There's 3 months free service, no installation cost. You can also, on your handy little water bottle that they're giving us, and pick up this QR code and go straight to their website. And you can sign up there. And it starts today, June 26th. So the 72 channels of video lineup is for the bulk package. There's also going to be a communities channel. And this is where we're going to be able to broadcast special events, use for updated news. We can stream the annual meeting and budget meetings, and even board meetings if we choose. Okay, so that's a good thing. Let's hear it for Fiber. So these are the different phases. You can take a look at this. You can tell what phase you're in. What phase are we on now? We're on 5. We're on phase 5, so we're moving right along here. Okay, and your construction has completed on phases 1 and 2, so we'll continue to provide you with updates as we make progress. Okay. All right. The next committee that I've been a liaison with is the road gang. So the road gangs are people that go out on Broad Creek Road and pick up all the trash and break. You see these volunteers? You see these volunteers in yellow and orange jackets collecting trash on the roadsides and keeping our roadside clean. They've been doing this for 25 years, and there's over 26 members. So there's 7 miles on Broad Creek Road from News Realty to Highway 55. They do that monthly. There are 32 different sections. And the volunteers for each section some take more than one section. For example, the Rock the Gas take like 5 sections. But inside Fairfield Harbour, they do News Realty to Marina Drive weekly. They liked them so much that they were the grand marshal on last year's parade. Here's some of the pictures of some of our road gang. All right, the next committee that I'm responsible for is special events. Wow, we love these people. This is a lineup of special events for this year. We started out with the Bears, we had Dock and Roll, we had beach music with DJ Fred, we have the parade coming up for the July parade, scavenger hunt, the Bears are coming back, we have the chili cook-off, cornhole tournament, trick or treat, DOA holiday parade, and a popular one that started last year is Deck the House decorating contest. So here's our team. This is for the Alex Williams. And this is over at the Inner Harbor. You see people come by golf cart, boat, drive, no matter how they come. All right, so this one is Trunk or Treat. That's very popular. The kids, this is 4th of July parade, very colorful. And this was the scavenger hunt. That was new, but it was a good too. The next committee that I have is a rotating art at the Point. Each quarter, the art changes in the Point restaurant. And the artists from Fairfield Harbour can display their art. It's a small, like 10%. They get us 10% back from anything they sell. And we sold about 15 pieces of art today. So that's pretty very good. Here's some of our artists and some of our art display. Okay. Next up, we have Brian Sean.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. And Jennifer asked me to speak to this because we have so many events and things going on at the golf course and the restaurant, and I just want to make you all aware of what's going on. But first off, just a review of the first quarter finances. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of numbers, but I look back a few years and some numbers kind of stood out to me. So back in the year 2020, COVID year, that's kind of where golf started taking off. Everything was closed. The only thing you could do was go outside and play golf. So golf really started taking off in the COVID year. The first 3 months of that year, we did 4,223 rounds, and that equaled $33,861 in greens fees. And I really focus on rounds and greens fees because obviously the more rounds you have at the golf course, the more your driving range sales are going to increase, the more your pro shop sales are going to increase. So the more people you have coming out, it helps everything else across the board. This past year, we had 4,808 rounds in the first 3 months, and we were at $53,952. So a big increase there. I think we're off to the best start we've ever been in so far in 2024. We're currently at 5,269 rounds and $71,163 in green fees. So again, that's a 115% increase since 2020 and 31.5% increase over last year. So golf is doing really well this year. So contributing factors to that, obviously we've had to do a price increase. I think inflation hit us across the board. Just like with anything else, it costs more to run the golf course, and we've had to pass that cost along. But we're still under what Carolina Colors charges. We're still under what the NMO charges. Their basic green fee is going to be $65. We're still in that $55 range, right along par with River Bend and Minnesota, what those courses are charging. We've had really good course conditions this year. Chris Dunn and his team, the superintendent, have done a fantastic job. Golf course is probably the best way to play the game. So big shout out to Chris Dunn and his team. We've had increased marketing efforts. We've been doing email blasts. We've been doing Facebook posts. The billboard, I got a good story about the billboard. So last Monday, you might have noticed I put a $20 play after 4 p.m. special on the billboard at 8 a.m. At 4 p.m. that afternoon, we had 6 people come out and take advantage of that 4 o'clock special. Thought that was pretty neat. I checked today, and it's been a week and a half now. We've had 54 people come and take advantage of the $20 after 4 special. So just right there, that's $1,080 that we wouldn't have had if we didn't do that special. So I think that billboard will definitely pay for itself every time. That's like I said, just a week and a half of running that special. Mr. Ruby mentioned that we're doing advertising in the tournament and more community newspapers. And we've definitely seen a big increase in reciprocal play from members of other golf courses coming to play us. And the last thing contributing factor is the weather. Obviously, it hadn't rained in 3 months, so you can play golf when it's not raining. It's hard to play golf with thunderstorms. The restaurant financial numbers, so far in 2024, we've done $89,245 in food and $52,649 in beverage. Not quite where we want to be, so June's numbers have been picking up quite a bit, so they seem to be promising. We have been able to cut down on our expenses by keeping trivia and music bingo in-house now. We're kind of taking music bingo off on Fridays. We're kind of doing the fish fry on Friday now. I'm kind of thinking that's more of a date night. I'm trying to do one night without the music there. But if you haven't come to the restaurant lately, Chef Ben's been with us for about 4 months now. He makes incredible food, as you can probably tell by my gut. And come try it, because the food that he makes is really good. Actually, any suggestions or concerns that you have about the restaurant or golf course, you can always come and talk to me about it. You'll probably find me at the golf course. Golf club events. We have quite a few charity tournaments that we've been doing lately. We had the Journey to Golf tournament that took place this past Saturday, June 22nd. It was a joint effort between the Harbour Golf Club and us. Their LGA basically asked our LGA if we'd like to host the tournament alongside with them, and our Ladies Golf Association really stepped up to the plate. Jackie Highsmith, shout out to her, Cheryl Furman, the money that they took on, all the printouts that they've had to do, the team, the mailings, they really stepped up to the plate big time for that tournament. They ended up raising tens of thousands of dollars. I haven't got a total dollar amount yet, but it's in the tens of thousands of dollar range. All those proceeds are going to be sent here in New Bern, and they go to that SCCU Cancer Center right here at the hospital in New Bern. Our community was awarded with the It Takes a Village Award for providing financial support to cancer patients and their families in time of need. So if you've helped out anyway for the Journey of Hope tournament, thank you so much. It's really helped out the community. So thank you. Also, our Jimmy Adams, golfer over here in the front, participated in the Driving Out Parkinson's charity event this past Monday. Myself, he raised $850 to donate to the Fight Box Project, which helps give local Parkinson's patients services like gym and exercise equipment. This organization has a gym here in New Bern that works with Parkinson's patients almost every day from 9 to 2. And I told Jimmy I'd give him $1 for every hole he played. There's no way he'd make it past 18. Somehow he made it 100 holes. So, good job, Jimmy. I can't believe you're here tonight. If I was me, I'd probably still be in the hospital today. We've been to, we have 4 main tournaments now that Mr. Brady talked about. These are our member-only signature events. Our member tournament, our club championship, our match play event, and our member guest. Tom Caruso has been helping us out with the stat tracker for these tournaments, and we're kind of considering our majors. The members that win these tournaments get put in our Hall of Fame. Their name goes up on the plaque, and it really is a big deal to win those tournaments. It's awesome to have those tournaments this year. We've been doing couples events. This past month, we've had a couples poker golf tournament. Shout out to Jeff and Betsy Paul for winning the couples poker with a pair of aces this past month. Each month, we're going to do a couples event. We're going to keep it very light and fun, not super competitive. Just come out, enjoy the camaraderie, play a little golf while you're here. So be on the lookout in the Friday update for those couples events. We've also been running a lot of various fun events, including the St. Patty's Day Dice Game. We're getting ready to host a flag tournament coming up here on July the 4th. We've done a turkey trot tournament that's right around Thanksgiving. And then this past year, we've done a Super Bowl scramble that took place here in the Super Bowl. We also have a lot more events to come. We're planning on doing a beat the drum event. And also, I've heard about mat golf that was done here in the past. So I think there's going to be plans in place to bring some mat golf back. So I'm looking forward to that. The Point Restaurant events, monthly trivia. So we do trivia on the first Wednesday of the month. I want to give a shout out to Team Diehards. They won the Progressive Pot this past month and won $250 in cash. So great job, City Telegram. I see you back there. To win that Progressive Pot, you have to get 8 answers right out of 10 of the Progressive question. The question this past month was you have to name the top 10 dog breeds in America. And I promise it's a lot harder than it sounds. We've been running the Prime Ribbon Piano, which is a Low Country Boil is going to take its place over the next couple of months. That's going to be on the 3rd Wednesday of the month for that Low Country Boil. It's basically peeling each shrimp. It'll be a $30 seafood buffet. I guess that's going to be the 3rd Wednesday of July and August. We've been doing monthly music bingo. So instead of on Fridays, we're going to be doing that on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays. And Gus, our food and beverage manager, will be running that event. We're still doing live music every Thursday night at the Point Restaurant. It's Boomerang that plays. Then we have the Bears coming up tomorrow night. I know they're a big hit. So if you like the Bears, come out to the Point. We start at 7 p.m. tomorrow. So basically every Thursday night, we're doing some live music. We'd like to have some more musicians that play in the community, so if you play an instrument or perform at a point, come see Gus or myself. Maybe we'll get you on schedule.
For those
Sunday
that are
brunch is
just
also
joining,
picking up.
we
We've
are
got the olive bar
rewatching
for the Sunday brunch.
last
That's
year's
very popular.
2024
And then also Saturday
annual
breakfast,
meeting
we've got
that
some surveys
happened
going
on
around.
June 26,
Just trying to figure out what we're gonna do
2024,
Saturday breakfast.
to
We've had a
refresh
few
our
people
brain
around. So
with
we're putting lots of
what
surveys
was
to see if we can keep
discussed,
breakfast on Saturdays.
review the
Couple more
minutes
people to see if
together,
we can just
and
have those
then
there and
that is a
and
question that's
find
going to
it.
be in your ballot that came
Player
out this
development.
morning. And so we're going to
Our
review
big,
that, but we
issue
want to
this year is
refresh our
trying to get more
memory
people
with
in the
what
community that are
happened
non-golfers
last
and
year
turn them into
so that we
golfers.
can review the
So lots of
minutes and
optimizing
tell
how
them
we
whether or
get
not we approve
beginner
or not
points.
of the
And
meeting
we
minutes.
usually have 10 to
So
15 people
that's
that
the
come out to
purpose
beginner
of this
clinics.
part.
We don't have any golf clubs. We provide all the clubs, the golf balls, the tees. We go out teaching the fundamentals, and it's just something about hitting that golf ball, seeing it fly through the air, and golf can basically sell itself. It's a very fun game. The camaraderie is great. Golf is a great game. If you don't play, I highly recommend signing up for that monthly beginner club. Also, a big focus of ours this year is junior camps. Junior's got a junior camp going. I've seen a lot of kids in the community, but I've not seen a lot of kids at the golf course. So that's one thing we're trying to change. We want to get some kids out there and run some fun junior camps for them. The Eastern North Carolina Junior Golf League, we do have a team playing in that this year. Our Michael Hodge came in second place last week in the first event, so great job to Michael. And then we're also hosting the West Craven High School golf team, the men's golf team. We are basically playing as the host board for West Craven High School. Last thing we got is the pool update. It's been open since April 22nd. Currently, I was kind of shocked with the revenue that the pool generated. We're at $4,789 right now over 2 months. We do have plans in September to close right after Labor Day, and we're going to be resurfacing the pool. So I just want to make everybody aware of that. Again, that's all I have. Thank you guys. If you need me, I'll be at the office.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, we're going to move into our financial section of the meeting. But first of all, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Rich Miller for all his many years, over 6 years as our treasurer and board member. So let's give Rich a round of applause. Rich swears he's really retiring this time. But what has happened is we have really lucked into a wonderful new financial guy. Kevin Nadell. Kevin comes to us from New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, Trenton, New Jersey's Executive Director and Division of Local Government Services. He is an accomplished professional with over 38 years of experience in management, administration, accounting, financial control, support operations, business technology, application development, and reporting. He demonstrates strength in administration, analysis, communication, cost containment, reduction, problem solving, project management, supervision, and strategic planning. This is a real numbers guy.
Thank you, Gail. Good evening, everyone. As Gail said, my name is Kevin Heidel. I've been a property owner along with my wife Linda since 2016. We built our retirement home in 2021 and moved here in 2022. I've now been treasurer for roughly 2 months. I got a fairly long presentation, so bear with me. I got to try to hold the mic, hold the pointer, and read my notes at the same time. I could actually use 3 hands. All right, can everybody see that? There we go. All right. Now can you see it? All right. I basically have 3 goals to look at here, and my goals are to provide property owners with basic understanding of Fairfield Harbor's financials. And how I'm going to do that, I'm going to examine 3 parts of Fairfield Harbor's profit and loss statement. All right, they include revenue or gross income, labor and operations expense, and then you're going to have interest, taxes, and depreciation, and then I'm going to wind up with a summary. The second part of my presentation is I'm going to do a comparative analysis between fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2023. All right. Now, this is not going to be apples to apples. All right. 2020 was a COVID year. All right. So you're going to see, a lot of the revenues were down. The good news is that golf rounds picked up a lot in that year. All right. But I want to make a comparison because my goal is to show you where your dues money is actually going. All right. We have roughly 80 revenue accounts, 190 expense accounts, and 20 interest and reserve accounts for a total of 290 accounts. Through those accounts, all right, roughly every month there are 2,000 transactions. Now, being an accountant, all right, every transaction has 2 entries. You have your debit and your credit, right? So in actuality, you have 2,000 entries going through the financial system every month, but it actually represents about 1,000 entries. So on an annual basis, you have 24,000 entries or 12,000 transactions that pass through this account. Next slide, please. All right. What I have up here is a fiscal year profit and loss statement for 2023. And we're going to concentrate on gross income, total labor and operational expenses. And then you're going to have earnings before interest, depreciation, and amortization. And then you're going to have your interest expense, depreciation, and amortization expense. Right? And as you can see from this slide, if you look right here, on net income came out to $37,000 for the year. Next slide. All right, so let's take a look at gross income. Right? first of all, our golf course income, which comprises of green fees, pro shop, and food and beverage, all right, we were short on income about $123,000. Our cost of sales, okay, the pro shop, food and beverages was under budget by $21,000. All right. Now, cost of sales, all right. What is the cost of sales? Cost of sales are what you purchase, all right, at a wholesale price, all right, resell it, and that includes shipping costs as well. All right, so on the estimate, we were $21,000 to be good on that. All right, we had golf and marina dues income short of $36,000. Some of that was because the Birdland Marina was closed for 3.5 months, so it didn't generate any revenue while they refurbished the marina. On POA dues income, we were short about $23,000, but we still had a 99.3% collection rate. Right. On non-dues income, such as lot mowing fines and admin fees, all right, we're over budget, all right, by $47,000, and on miscellaneous income, we were short roughly about $10,000. On miscellaneous income, our sales of, what they sell, visors, mugs, hats, shirts, or whatever, they sell in the office.
I'm going to go back just real fast. So whenever there is conversation about golf course income, whether or not we are over or under, I think these numbers in red, typically a number in parentheses, means it's negative. A number red in parentheses typically confirms the negative. And so I think it's important. This is short of the budgeted number. Okay. So this was under budget. The cost of sales was under budget. The marina was closed 3.5 months. But this number is likely short of the budgeted number. This is, I can't read this because I don't even know that my glasses. This is like 90 something 0.3% of collection rate. We had an over budgeted number for non-dues incomes like lawn mowing. And then miscellaneous income, we had a shortage of $10,000 in whatever falls into miscellaneous income. So our gross income number was short what we projected or budgeted or forecasted, $124,000. But I think this big number, again, I don't think I've heard anyone say that they want to close the golf course or the restaurant. I think what the goal is this was in 2023. We are now in 2025. So moving forward, we want this number to not be short of budgeted. We would love to have it say over the budgeted or forecasted number. Okay, I'm going to go back off mute so we can play so there's no echo.
$10,000. Miscellaneous income, we short roughly about $10,000. Miscellaneous income, our sales of, what they sell, visors, mugs, hats, shirts, or whatever, they sell in the office. The second part of the presentation here is we're going to concentrate on our total labor and operational expenses. All right, so when we look at labor and operations, our labor costs are $83,000 under budget, and that includes the golf, our general expense, our maintenance, and food and beverage. All right. However, when we take a look at food and beverage, all right, we were $93,000 over budget. All right, and I don't want you to get alarmed by that number, all right, because when you budget, it takes years to develop that budget, and it keeps developing. All right, so in here, all right, what makes up partial of that $93,000 is that we charge an expense for golf management fee for $34,000. That wasn't budgeted in that line. You have building maintenance, all right, that was $10,000. That was budgeted in overall general and administrative expense. Our propane costs, I believe we budgeted $1,400, all right, but as the bills came in, and this is for the restaurant, the propane was $14,000 over. Kitchen supplies was over $10,000, and our entertainment was over about $15,000. But again, you're looking at these numbers, and what I just mentioned to you about the total operational costs, we were still $2,000 under budget. You can't get any closer than that. All right. Okay, the third one. Back a minute. No, that's okay. Sorry. No, that's fine. All right, the third part I'm going to be talking about here, okay, is our total interest, depreciation, and amortization expense, which you can see that the $218,000 is good here. All right, so let's take a look at that. Our other interest income, actually that income was $14,000. All right, we had interest expense on capital leases and loans, which was over $10,000. Our depreciation and amortization on equipment was $44,000 under budget, and our bad debt was under about $93,000, and our capital improvement and reserves was under about $90,000. So when you add all that up and put the whole profit and loss statement together, all right, we got to the good $37,000. All right, so let me summarize fiscal year 23 for you. Our gross income, all right, was down about $125,000. Okay, you can tie some of this to April and May golf rounds, which are down by about 1,000 due to bad weather and due to microbursts. Right? This is an area that we need to continue promoting membership, public play through advertising, promotion, and events. All right, the second piece, the 93,000 over budget, as I mentioned, all right, that's more of being able to align our budget, okay, with where we're charging the expense. All right, so we need to continue fine-tuning the budget to align the budget amount to the expense amount. Our total labor and expenses, as I mentioned, was under budget by $2,000. All right, but in that we had $42,000 over budget. All right, and the reason for that is because we are doing the budget from October to January. The bill does not come in until March. All right, so you can't really predict what your insurance is going to be. And I can personally attest to that because I just received my new homeowners insurance that went up 10% and my flood insurance that just went up 17%. All right, so you don't budget for big increases like that, all right? All right, and again, we saw the two microbursts. It cost us an additional $50,000, which we were over budget on in our general and administrative expense. And again, we need to continue to fine tune the budget as it continues to be a work in progress. All right, and our net income, again, for the year is $37,000. All right, now I want to take you through a comparative study. All right, and my goal here, again, is to provide property owners a better understanding of how your dues are being spent. Again, I'm going to examine 3 parts of Fairfield Harbor's profit and loss statement. All right, I'm going to compare fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2023. And again, as I mentioned, this is not apples to apples. All right, we're going to take a look at rounds and off. Take a look at gross income, our labor and operations expense, our interest expense, depreciation, and amortization, and our capital improvements and capital reserve. All right, so again, let's take a look at gross income. All right, we had $3.6 million in fiscal year 20. All right, in fiscal year 23, we're up to almost $4.7 million, for better than a $1 million gain on that. All right, our total labor, all right, went up about $427,000. Our operational expense went up $373,000. Our total expenses now went up $800,000. All right, our earnings before interest, depreciation, and amortization, all right, it was $1,083,000 in 2020. It's better than $1.3 million, or an increase of $263,000. And again, now you're taking a look at your total interest and depreciation, where in 2020 it was $739,000. Okay, and in fiscal year 23, it was close to $1.3 million. All right, I want to take you through the rounds of golf. All right, the total rounds of golf in fiscal year 20, right, was 17,000. All right, in fiscal year 23, it's up almost to 18,000, or an increase of 654 rounds, or 4%. Our total revenue, all right, again, is up by $1.2 million. All right, and that's caused by the increase in dues, and regular dues and non-dues. That $1.2 million can be broken down. That $840,000 of that is your dues. All right, the other $390,000 is from non-dues and other income. All right, but I want to take a look at the rounds of golf here. Okay, in 2019, there was roughly 13,000 rounds of golf. In 2020, it went up to 17,000. That 4,000 increase was a result of COVID. People want to get out of the house, they're on the golf course and stuff. Perhaps they're not working, all right, because businesses are shut down. All right, but COVID had caused that increase. Right? In 2021, it went down to 20,000. In 22, it went down to 19,000. And in 23, it went down to 18,000. But again, I want to point to 23, all right, that it was down 1,000 because in April and May, all right, we were down 1,000 rounds, particularly just for those 2 months. All right, but if you go from 2019 to 2023, we're up 38% in rounds of golf. All right, now I want to take a look at our expenses. All right, and what you're going to see here is that our total labor costs jumped $427,000, or 40%. Some of that is because we now have a full functioning restaurant, where in 2020, all right, we opened for basically 3 months and then had to close and they take out orders only. All right, so now we're back to a full functioning restaurant. Obviously, there's more labor costs, and there's other labor costs that also make up that as well. All right, but I want to point to some of these bigger items here. All right, both our general administrative expenses up about $85,000. All right, our legal expenses actually down, or our maintenance is up $192,000. I got notes on that. All right, on the maintenance of $192,000, we had tree stump removal that went from $15,000 to $107,000. Was $15,000 in 2020 to $107,000 in 2023, or an increase of $92,000. Our insecticides, fungicides, fertilizers, seed went from $78,000 to $131,000, or an increase of $53,000. Our gas and diesel went from $27,000 to $44,000, or again an increase of about $17,000. Right, and that's roughly about 162 of the 192 increase, all right, between 2020 and 2023. All
All right, on food and beverage, you see it gone up. And again, you're looking at 2020, you're looking at takeout orders. It's not a full-blown restaurant that's open, 5 days a week. All right, equipment leases. All right, this is really an interesting point here. Our equipment leases are down by $104,000, from $112,000 to $78,000. The reason for that is because we used to lease equipment, which means that we get a monthly payment. All right, once that lease is done, the equipment goes away, and you have to get a new lease. All right, this board changed that process. They went from a regular, basically what we call renting lease, to what we call a capital lease. And what a capital lease is, you're going to be able to own the equipment after the amortization schedule. I don't know if it's 5 years, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the amortization schedule. All right, but what you're going to see here is that we have to amortize. Not only do we pay for the equipment, but we also have to amortize it. All right, which means that after 5 years, okay, we own the equipment, it's fully amortized, it comes off with financials. Right? So basically, you get a double whammy here. You get the charge, and then you get the amortization charge. So when you see a difference in net income, all right, which shows 2020 at 338,000, and then you see 2023 37,000, this is one of the reasons why. All right, because we have to double up on both the amortization and the cost of the lease itself. All right, and I also mentioned about insurance, which is up about $68,000. Again, this year went up $42,000 or so over budget. Next slide. So again, now we're taking a look at our interest expense and depreciation. And if you go through here, I'm going to pick out some highlights. Okay, our interest expense on capital leases went up to $60,000 from $2,800, and again, that's because we have capital leases that we have to pay for, and we're amortizing at the same time. All right, and I want to point you to this interest on the loan. In 2020, the interest on the loan was $123,000. It's down to $50,000. The reason for that is because this board went and took a 385 loan at 6%, all right, and they refinanced at 4.2%. So this $73,000 you see here is the savings right after that loan. Right? We have plans to pay off this loan 2 years early, which is going to generate and make this number well exceed $100,000. Right? Just by being able to refinance the loan. I hope people refinance their homes when at the time when the interest rates go down, because you would achieve that same savings on your mortgage. Right? And one of the last items I want to look here is capital reserve. Okay, capital improvements. Right? In 2020, all right, they spent $366,000. All right, in 2023, we spent $196,000. All right, that's $529,000 more than 2020. That is where the increases in your units is being spent. All right, it's being spent on the improvements for that arena, okay, on the golf paths, and also on the seawall. Next slide, please. All right, so let's take a look at, a lot of people want to know about our reserves. All right, so I'm going to take you through again, the reserves here. The contribution to the replacement fund in 2020, as I mentioned, was $336,000. The contributions in 2023 was $595,000, or an increase of close to $259,000. All right. Contributions here to the contingency fund is $30,000. All right. We made contributions of $12,000. However, what we've done is instead of putting it into a contingency fund, we're putting it into a loan reserve of $50,000, which is going to be used to pay off the 385 loan, and again generate savings, okay, through that loan of probably another $25,000, $30,000 or so. All right, next we have our Harbour Club. All right, we spent close to $176,000 for the architectural study. All right, and if you take a look at capital improvement on buildings, it's $55,000. All right, and that's basically for the maintenance lot. Okay, that's right behind us over here. However, while it looks like $55,000, we got $20,000 back from the fire company on that. All right, that they gave us back, so that's actually $30,000. All right, so let's take a look at future projections. All right, I want to address some rumors here. Right? First of all, POA dues will not be going up to $2,000 as rumored on Facebook. Right? Also, there's no additional dues increases to the Harbour Club. Right? Those 3 increases at $100 funds the annual loan principal and interest payments for the next 15 years. The Harbour Club loan is a fixed rate and is not subject to inflationary increase. If interest rates come down in the future, we will seize the opportunity to refinance the loan and to achieve further savings on the loan's interest expense like we did for the 385 loan. It's not done yet. They're going to address the Harbour Club. I'm not addressing it. They're going to address the Harbour Club. All right?
We have time for Q&A. I'm going to call order. Kevin, if you will just go ahead and finish your presentation, but please save your questions for Q&A. Okay?
Okay. The additional.
We have a point of order, Kevin. Yes?
Say this board decided to adopt it in the beginning of the POA board or the city board.
No, the POA board, they refinance.
I cannot hear these questions. I'm going to game this up. I'm going to mute myself a little bit, but we obviously have some people with some significant questions. I also can't read. The contrast is way off on this slide. I'm going to try to back it up just a minute to try to get to the first question where Hope asked them to stop and save their questions. And then another person chimed in with another question that it sounds like we're holding for. So I'm going to try to increase the volume so I can hear what these questions are. Okay, hold on a second.
They're going to address the Harbour Club. I'm not addressing it. It's not done yet. They're going to address the Harbour Club. I'm not addressing it. In the future, we will seize the opportunity to refinance the loan and to achieve further savings on the loan's interest expense like we did for the 385 loan. It's not done yet. They're going to address the Harbour Club. I'm not addressing it. They're going to address the Harbour Club. All right?
We have the time for Q&A. I'm going to call order. Kevin, if you will just go ahead and finish your presentation, but please say your questions for Q&A.
Okay, the additional.
We have a point of order, Kevin. Yes?
You stated this board signed the reduction in the letter. The POA board or the city board?
No, the POA board, they refinance. All right, the additional fiscal year 23 dues increase of $122. Okay, will fund the remaining $2.8 million in infrastructure replacement costs, which covers 3,200 feet of seawall, the Shoreline Arena, the Harbour Point Golf Course, Shoreline Arena Pass, with no further dues increases to these projects. Okay, this $122 will also reduce the completion schedule for these projects from 10 years to 5 to 6 years, thereby eliminating the future inflationary expenses in those future years. While inflation increased about 20% over the past few years, there was no inflationary dues increase passed on to property owners. Okay, with this present budget, I believe we can work within it and be flexible and adjust accordingly to avoid dues increases in the near future. All right. However, no one can promise that there wouldn't be increases in the future, and to do so is fiscally irresponsible. We cannot predict the future. Hurricane Florence and COVID should have told us that. All right? But we can work to manage our funds and address the issues as they arise. Thank you.
Okay, Phylis Wiltrout, who lost Phylis this past year, and the Board of Directors intends to draft a resolution to induct Phylis Wiltrout into the Fairfield Harbor Hall of Fame for her instrumental service through the years to Fairfield Harbor. Harbor Helpers is her brainchild. Phylis managed Harbour Helpers for 15 years. Phylis and her husband John have taken the concept of helping to a new level, providing services for those in need of helping hand at Fairfield Harbor. Many people here have called and received rides for appointment, grocery shopping, and other errands, as well as those little things around the house that just needs a neighbor's hand, like changing a light bulb. And Harbour Helpers also provides an avenue for many volunteers to provide a helping hand for their neighbors. Phylis was also named the 2022 Grand Marshal of the Christmas Parade to honor her contributions to Fairfield. This is Orlando Master Chris. Okay, at this time,
As parliamentarian, I'm going to call on the accountant, Tom Monty. Yeah, you're going to hand the results, I believe, with Rhonda, the POA secretary. I just want to introduce you to Tom Monty with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. This firm is the accounting firm that certified the election results. Tom, thank you for being with us again and for getting used to the new electronic voting, which did that go fairly well? I've heard it has.
Very well. We figured out the execution of the board. We, the board of the staff, have figured out for next year it has been very well. Yes, well worth it.
And I think we've had record ballots turned in the last two votes that you've had, both this election and the recall election that you had.
Yes, well over 1,000, and before you were lucky if you got close to 1,000.
So the electronic voting is going well. Thank you so much. And if you will give those certified results to Rhonda Miller, your secretary, I'll call on Rhonda to announce the two new directors who have been elected to fill vacancies.
As you saw, Tom gave me a sealed envelope with the results in. No one on the POA board or the staff know the outcome. Only Tom from the CPA firm Carr, Riggs, Ingram knows the results.
Testing.
Before show us a piece of paper, the way it's written, the first 4 names are in alphabetical order and their total votes. And then underneath that is the top 2 vote getters. So when you open it up, the middle's got everybody alphabetically, underneath it has their names. So I don't just start reading and all of a sudden get the wrong names.
In alphabetical order, it was Chris Barajas, 841. Phil Hewitt, 611. Don Moore, 856. John Rockengas, 614.
Thank you, Rhonda, and thank you. Congratulations to 2 new directors. And now we'll those directors will be sworn in. And who, Rhonda, are you going to read the, so Chris and Don, if you can come forward to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Repeat after me. I, state your name. Do solemnly agree to abide by the Declaration of Restrictions and bylaws of Fairfield Harbor, and to abide by the restrictions applying to the Peoria Board of Directors. I further agree to exercise my obligations and fiduciary responsibilities. Thank you.
I'm going to thank you, congratulations, and now we're going to move into the final portion of the evening so everybody can get some air conditioning. We're going to call on Tina to just tee up the Q&A, and then I'll serve as parliamentarian. So yeah, let's have order, please. So people have waited a long time to ask questions. So let's go ahead and get to that. Tina.
Okay, as usual, before each question, please state your name, your address, and how long you have been a homeowner here. And one question.
And if I can just please say, and sorry, I'm having issues with my camera, so I'm trying to resolve that as I am trying to get back online. But when we are live streaming meetings, please do not say your first and last name, where you live as far as your address, and how long you have lived here. These meetings are live streamed. It sounds like with Hosted America, there is the intent that moving forward, we make things available online. This is a public platform that anyone in the world has access to and can hear and live stream themselves. So please don't do that. Okay. Thank you. That's just my own public service announcement.
Question per person, and we will not be timing you tonight. However, please be brief and be specific with your question, and be respectful of the other people who are waiting to ask a question. And Hope will be helping monitor our question and answer session. So if you would come up to the microphone where Larry's standing right there in the middle and ask your question. And thank you for your.
Are there any questions? Let's see a show of hands because I don't see anybody saying yes, ma'am. Come on to the microphone.
I'd like to actually make
Can you tell us your name?
Absolutely. Jennifer Jump. I'm at 6203 Albatross. We own since 2019. And I want to make a statement. It's not really a question, but it's to all of us. We need to be more kind. We recently transitioned and moved here from Northeast. And the transition has not been nice. This community is so segregated and separated. And I know this vote is very important. But let's go forward today and start being kind to the new neighbors. I was literally chased down 2 weeks ago, accused falsely of something, and I didn't appreciate it, and I'm a new neighbor. How welcome did I feel?
I think if you hold it closer, it will not squelch, dude.
How welcome did I feel? I was insulted. I was upset. My daughter was on the phone and heard the interaction. Let's be kind. I met 2 new neighbors today from Ohio who just moved here. They asked me as I'm walking my dogs this morning, hey, do you live on our road? No, but I know who they are. I know their children already, and I made them feel welcome. Can we please stop the bickering, stop the nonsense, and let's be kind, because that's what I liked about the community when I bought here in 2019, and that's what we're missing. And I'm not going to point fingers. The person's here. They know who they are, and I'm still waiting for the apology. But we need to be kind. If you see a neighbor who maybe didn't do something that you like, go talk to them. Have a cup of coffee before you accuse them. Let's be kind.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Come on forward.
Hi, I'm Kathy Bell, representing my Rico's Drive. And the question I like a bit closer.
Closer? A little closer.
Can you guys hear me now? All right. So my question is this. Is it going to be a vote on the new clubhouse? That's one thing. And the second question is it going to be a vote on the clubhouse? And then if you do have a vote and it goes through, whether the POA office will be moved.
So is your question whether there will be a membership vote or whether there will be a board vote?
Whether there will be a homeowner vote.
Okay, that has not yet been determined, but as Ms. Albertini said, one of the very first agenda items for this newly seated board will be to take up the issue of the Harbour Club, and then I'm sure they will publish how it's going to proceed.
Do you mean by that they're going to discuss whether we're going to vote on that?
I would imagine that everything is on the table, whether to move forward with the Harbour Club, whether to close on the loan that has been offered by the bank for the Harbour Club, whether or not they want to ask the membership further questions. But from a legal standpoint, and I don't know if you've heard this before, but I will say that your covenants nor bylaws call for a membership vote.
I understand that, but the vote or not having a vote is causing a lot of issues. I think most of us want to have a vote and just see, do we want it or not as a community? I think everyone's going to agree with that. Even if, my opinion, I don't get what I want, then too bad, so sad. We voted, and everyone got a say, and everyone has to support that afterwards.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jeff Schuler with 1600 Cara. I've been here a little over a year. This new fiber, I have a question about that. You guys are talking about doing the internal network, having your own broadcasting, and that kind of stuff. For those of us that aren't going to go with this new fiber, are you still going to stream the meetings, or are you only going to be exclusive to the people that are on fiber and choose to pay the higher price than what they know?
I'm hearing that has not yet been determined, so that's a good point for the board to consider. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Phylis, I live at 810 Home Drive, and my question is, are we going back to night board meetings for the membership? And I think I can speak for pretty much everyone here, that is what we as a community would like to see, is going back to night board meetings.
Is that's something else that the new board can take under consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn? I have a motion to adjourn from Ms. Simpson. Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Let me get my life back together here. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my camera. If I lose you again, apologies. I'm going to remove this. I do want to go back and find something really fast that I thought was super cute as we were watching this chili cook-off and the I will not belabor this point. If I can't find it quickly, I will just move on. I think it was around minute. I took some notes while we were, was it like minute 57? That meeting was like 2 hours long and they only had 4 questions at the end. So that's telling. I feel like those meetings could be a lot longer and us have a lot of folks participating. I was going to stop the screen and do a screenshot really fast, but I didn't want to interrupt. I can't find it. It's fine. I'm fine. We're going to just keep going. All right. So again, whenever we are voting, and I'm just going to quickly go through this. When we are voting in our ballots that came out this morning around 4 a.m., you are going, the very first question is going to be, please cast your vote by checking a box next to your selection. This ballot is valid for voting, establishing a quorum, and is irrevocable once submitted. If your association documents so provide, the ballot may be used as a subsequent meeting. Quorum needed is 7%. Online voting ends June 16th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And then you can click here to see the attached for the meeting minutes. I cannot anymore. I did not vote. I just did this exercise to get these screen grabs so I could show folks what the ballots looked like online. I did not click this link, but again, I downloaded these when they were published a long time ago. I have a whole Fairfield Harbour folder that is everything that's been saved out there. So I have them. They're not on front steps right this second. But you can click here, I guess, to see the meeting minutes and the candidate information. And then You are voting to approve now in June of 2025. You are voting to approve the annual meeting minutes from 2024. Again, that meeting was June 26th, 2024. That's what we just watched. For those that are joining, we that meeting was like an hour and 45-ish minutes. Al recorded it. I just did the replay backs on 1.5 speed so that we could get through it kind of quickly. But I do want us to go through the annual meeting minutes. So this is what they were as they are posted. The one thing I'm going to read first is on page 3, there is a disclaimer that says, this document is not a verbatim transcription of the questions, comments, and responses at this meeting and is only meant to be a summary of the questions asked and is presented primarily for informational purposes for those not in attendance. No attempt was made to directly quote or any question and or answer to a comment. For a complete view of the meeting, you can go to YouTube and search for 2024 Fairfield Harbor Annual Meeting. And again, I am going to put a link in the description of this to Al's Fairfield Harbor channel so that you can watch the recording yourself if you want to go back and look at it. But let's go through the meeting minutes because there are some discrepancies. And so if one of the questions is whether or not you vote to approve, and I am hearing from Facebook that that these were just meant to be in draft format, which is why they are no longer on front steps. If that is the case and we are able to give feedback, there is nothing on this ballot form that says send feedback about the minutes. Like if you vote do not approve these meeting minutes, there's no place or no suggestion that you send feedback as far as what is wrong or incorrect back to the office or our secretary, Rhonda. There is no way in the ballot itself to note what is wrong with the meeting minutes. I did click that box just to see if a pop-up came up that said, why do you not? And that does not exist. It just takes you forward to the next question, which is which of the candidates do you want to vote? And I'll show that screen here in just a little bit. So anyway, I do think it's important though that you re-listen to the meeting, especially given a year has passed, 360-ish days have passed, and we are being asked to vote on meeting minutes. So let's go and, well, what happened to my meeting minutes now? Let me just represent. Let me just add a PDF. Okay, here we go. All right. So again, this is not meant to be a direct quote or a kind of a transcript, if you will, of that meeting, but there are some key pieces that are missing. So at the very beginning, we have Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association Board of Directors and Officers Annual Meeting Minutes, June 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. Members present were Gail Albertini, VP McLam, Directors Broody, Pfeffercorn, and Treasurer Heidel, Retiring Treasurer Miller, and Secretary Miller. Others in attendance were Hope Carmichael, she is our attorney, FHPOA attorney serving as parliamentarian, Jennifer Gudayas, community manager, Troons from Steve Steinbeck, Stormwater Committee member Brian Joyner, and HPGC. And I think those Jennifer represented the community manager role and Troon. Steve Steinbeck represented the Stormwater Committee in place of Ray Redness or Les Pendleton, and then Brian Joyner represented the harbor, like the golf club and the restaurant. So Gail Albertini called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Gail Albertini opened the meeting by leading the Pledge of Allegiance and then turning the meeting over to Attorney Carmichael, who was acting as parliamentarian. Attorney Carmichael asked if there was a quorum, to which there was. I think it was stated in there that 159 families were present for the meeting, which identified a quorum. Secretary Miller replied in the affirmative. Attorney Carmichael called for the approval of the 2023 annual meeting minutes. She said it would be easier to ask for objections and gave residents online an opportunity to object before asking for objections from the floor. There being no objection, the minutes from the 2023 meeting were approved. The meeting was turned back over to President Gail Albertini. Okay. Then it was turned over to VP Tina McLam, the liaison for the Safety and Security Committee. Tina McLam shared that the 2023-2024 committee highlights included speed limit was lowered to 30 miles per hour, stop signs were added to Cara and Pelican, three-way stop was added at Coral Reef and Royal Pines. There was a new security company, Sun State Security, which had new SOPs and gate procedures. Well, new SOPs were updated. She also put in her slideshow that there were new gate procedures, but the gate procedures are not mentioned in the meeting minutes as far as being new. Plans for upcoming year include upgraded security cameras, the RFID using radio waves to identify people or objects made possible within Fairfield Harbor Network, Hosted America, and eventually remote access will be used to open doors to the community center, activity building, etc. The picture I was trying to find in that recording earlier, one of the there was a golf cart that had several ladies standing around it, and it read, "Fast Girls, 32 plus mile per hour." And I thought it was so funny because we kicked off the meeting with a new 30 mile per hour, and there's been so much conversation around the speeding happening in here, and I thought it was funny that we had someone at one of our POA sanctioned events have a golf cart decorated as Fast Girls 32 plus miles per hour. That was cute. Sorry I couldn't find it, but it's in that video if you want to go look for it. All right, Director David Pfefferkorn introduced and presented a report on the waterfront enhancements and banners. In 2023-2024, the Birdland Marina was rebuilt using hog slats for the docks and finger piers. Shoreline seawall had 430 feet of the rebuild completed and 2 to 10 foot wingbacks. Total seawall 3,600 feet. For 24-25, nearly 500 feet of seawall will be completed starting in November or December. Beginning in November or December, the Shoreline Marina will be rebuilt in the same manner as the Birdland Marina, as well as the finger piers. The hog slat applications can be an option to homeowners in the future. We have a long-term contract for the remaining seawall repair and will allow our pricing to be locked in at a predetermined rate. Slides showing the marina and seawall were viewed. Enhancements Committee. Hold on. Marina improvement. Okay. Then we had, I'm so confused. So we had the marina improvements. I took notes while I was watching just so I could go back. So we talked about the marina improvements. Then there was an update on roads and streets, but I don't see that here. So the update around roads and streets is not included here. And Steve represented the Stormwater Committee. And I do not see Steve's notes in here. He actually, at minute 46, talked about the fact that we don't keep institutional knowledge in Fairfield Harbor, as we have POA members come on and off the board after 3 years or whenever that person retires or resigns. We lose their institutional knowledge, right? And I think that's important. And I called that out and put it in my notes as what I wrote down because I thought that was a really important statement. Steve was standing in again for Ray Redness and Les Pendleton. Neither one of them could attend that meeting, and he was a stand-in. But that note where he said every 3 years we lose the history of what was done in that board from that person's perspective, and we shouldn't. These meeting minutes should be representation of what happened at that meeting. They should be keyword searchable. They should be able to be something that we are able to look at and read. But you can see here that we have David Pfefferkorn giving his update on the marina improvements, but then it goes straight down to the enhancements committee with the blue and white signs, but we're missing the roads and streets update and Steve's update on stormwater. So these meeting minutes, while there is a disclaimer on the back that says it's not meant to be a verbatim transcript of questions, comments, and responses, it should at least have big bucket items of what was discussed. And I thought it was very telling that at minute 46-ish, he mentioned specifically that we lose institutional knowledge when people roll on and off the board because we don't have the right documentation in place. We cannot approve these meeting minutes if we don't have a good representation of what's in the meeting, what happened in the meeting. And these minutes are supposed to be that representation. So I hope you will consider, I think there are a couple of things missing. I will continue, but namely the fact that roads and streets and stormwater updates are not in here at all. And there were speakers with slides that talked through the updates from the year. We should not approve these minutes. There is more, but just hold tight. All right, Enhancement Committee. The new blue and white sign for the community is 75% completed. Our billboard is attracting new golf members and advertises specials. Next page. Then Gail Albertini is also a liaison for the rotating art at the Point. The art is rotated each quarter and 10% of the sale price is given to the POA. I never saw that in our budget. I wonder how much art we've sold. 15 pieces of art have been sold so far. I wonder at what total cost and what 10% of that number is so that we can see it in the budget. But anyway, alas, in this new endeavor. Oh my gosh. Okay. I have to stop. Because y'all, we are also missing where Gail Albertini gave the whole Hosted America update. It is a utility that we now own. And she talked about how she gave Phil Hewitt all of the credit and how used to sewer and water were not utilities that we had within the harbor. Someone went home and said, I should start offering this, and they created a company to do it. That's what we were doing here with Hosted America. We were creating a new utility that we own. She talked about hosting meetings and having a news station specific to Fairfield Harbor. She talked about how we were on phase 5 as of that meeting, and there were 8 total phases. She talked about how, she talked about a lot regarding Hosted America. Anyway, then we talked about the Road Gang, and there were multiple pictures of the Road Gang and talking about their service to the community for 25 plus years. Then we had a whole little video montage. And then we get into, so we don't have any of the Hosted America updates here. Okay, I digress. Sorry. I will be voting not to approve these meeting minutes because they're not complete in the least. Then Brian Joyner got up. The PGA club manager gave a summary of the golf course and restaurant. The first quarter in 2020, when COVID shut everything down, people got out to golf. We had 4,223 rounds, and the green fees brought in $33,861. In 2023, we had 4,808 rounds, which was like 600 more rounds with 53,000. So another $20,000-ish in green fees. So far in 2024, they had 5,269 rounds, which brought in an additional, 20-ish, $18,000-ish at $71,163 in green fees. This is a 115% increase since 2020. In 2020, there were $33,861 in greens fees. Then there was in 2024, $71,163 in greens fees. Let me just do some quick 71,163 divided by So we basically doubled. It says that there's a 115% increase since 2020, 31.5% over last year. The more rounds we have, the more green fees we have, the more pro shops will sell balls, shirts, hats. We have increased the greens fees due to inflation and are in line with Riverbend and Minnesota Beach, while under Carolina Colors and Emerald Isle. Chris Dunn has done a fantastic job with the greens maintenance. We've been doing more marketing to increase business with email blasts and articles in local newspapers like Taberna and the Emerald Golf. A special was posted on the billboard at Broad Creek and 55 to advertise $20 fees for rounds after 4 p.m. By 8 a.m. the following morning, 6 people had signed up. Within a week and a half, 54 people came out to play with a revenue increase of $1,080. In 2024, so far, The Point, that's the restaurant, had $89,245 in food income and $52,649 in beverages. This was not quite where we want it to be. We're trying to reduce costs, so events like trivia and music are being handled in-house, and a date night Friday fish fry without music has been started to encourage more support. Chef Ben has been with us for 4 months and makes incredible food, so come out and try it. The Friday updates have upcoming events at the Point and the Golf Club. Golf Club events, Journey of Hope tournament was June 22nd, and in a joint effort with Emerald Isle, Jackie Heiss and Cheryl Furman of the LGA stepped up and organized the event. No final figure has been available yet, but tens of thousands of dollars was raised, which will stay in the New Bern area in the SEC Cancer Center. FH was awarded the It Takes a Village Award for providing financial support to patients in need. If you helped in any way, thank you for your support. Jim Adamas, the golf pro, participated in the tournament for Parkinson's, raised $850, which helps give Jim an exercise equipment. We had 4 major events, member, club championship. Okay. Member guest, match play are hosting monthly couples events and various fun tournaments throughout the year, dice game, flag football, turkey trot, etc. The Point restaurant events include a monthly trivia contest, a Low Country Boil on the 3rd Wednesday in July and August, live music every Thursday, Sunday brunch, and Chef Ben will be running a prime rib and piano event. To encourage player development, we have beginner clinics, monthly beginner clinics, HPGC junior camp, First Tee junior camp. The ENCJGL had a participant from here. We had a team in that event. We are trying to get non-players to be players by providing clubs, balls, and tees. Pool update so far in 2 months, we have had an income of $4,780. The pool will be closed after Labor Day. It's scheduled to be resurfaced. Gail Albertini thanked our retiring treasurer, Rich, for volunteering over 6 years as treasurer and board member Kevin Heidel. I'm sorry. We can't go on yet. Y'all. Okay, so after we had the update on the golf course and the club, 2 things are not in the meeting minutes, which are so incredibly important. Phylis Wiltrout was inducted into the Fairfield Harbor Hall of Fame. Why is that not in the meeting minutes? We talked all about all the great things that she's done. There were cute pictures, like at least a sentence. And then the other thing that was not, which is the most, if we don't approve these meeting minutes for this alone, I don't know what we're doing here. We voted in 2 new board of director members at this meeting. We voted them in. And let me just share my screen here. Stop this sharing. Just share my whole screen. Just share my entire this screen. Share. Wait, what? Okay, here we go. We read out the voting summary. So this was not what was read. There was no slide. She opened the sealed envelope that had the results of the vote in it. So of the annual elections that had happened last year, Chris Barajas, these were in alphabetical order, received 841 votes. Then we talked about Phil Hewitt received 611 votes. I wrote it down in order of the way that she announced it. Don Moore received 856 votes, and John Rothengas received 614 votes. And then we had them stand up and come forward, and we inducted them into the board. Why? 2 new board of director members that are voted in to represent us as the community are not in the board meeting minutes. How is that missed? How is that missed? We talked about raising $850 for Parkinson's disease to give gym and exercise equipment away, but we don't talk about electing 2 new board of director members in to serve on the board, which took Phil Hewitt and John Rothengast out of the board. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Okay, well then moving on. What is happening? Okay, so then we get into the whole treasurer. We thanked Rich for his service, and we showed pictures of him. Again, I don't know why we're picking and choosing what we share in the board meeting minutes. I cannot get over the fact that we did not include the fact that we inducted 2 new members into the board, let alone didn't talk about roads and streets update or stormwater, where there were slides, didn't talk about the new purpose we inducted into our community's Hall of Fame, didn't talk about the fact that we voted in 2 new board of director members. What are we doing? But yet this is 3 pages of a whole bunch of other crap. Not crap, it's important. It's all important. But come on. Do not vote these minutes. They don't even include 2 board of directors being inducted into the board. Do not vote for these to be. I'm beside myself. Thank you, Rich Miller, for volunteering 6 years as our treasurer and board member. Kevin Hydell stepped up to be our new treasurer. Kevin bought his property in 2016. And then Gail did go through and list off all of his professional achievements, which made him able to serve in that position. He had 3 goals for that night, and he shared several slides that talked about basic understanding of our financials, examining 3 parts: the profit and loss statement, the comparative analysis of 2020 to 2023, and then okay, we will give all these details, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs about what's happening at the golf course and the restaurant, but we don't even include any of the notes or numbers from his update on the treasurer reports. We just go into questions. And this is showing that there were 2 questions asked. There were 4. Well, there were 3 questions and a statement. We did not include in the meeting minutes that Jennifer Jump got up and asked everyone to be more kind because she had gotten feedback from someone that lived down the street, and she had also just felt this dissension across the neighborhood and just asked everyone to please be more kind. And then I missed the sweet lady's name that asked about whether or not there would be a vote on the new clubhouse. Hope Carmichael mentioned that had not yet been determined, but she did state that the board was not required, based on the way our bylaws are written, to get a vote from the community membership. But she did say that had not yet been determined. And then the only 2 questions that are in here was Jeff Fuller asked about the new fiber, Hosted America, whether or not they were going to use the company to stream live meetings. Will meetings continue to be streamed for everyone to see? And that answer has not been decided yet. And I don't even think that's the context for that question. What I wrote down was whether or not Hosted America was something that we had to use. Maybe I wrote as maybe I had it wrong. Anyway, and then Louise Paterno got up and asked, is the board going back to night meetings? And that will be decided by the current board moving forward. There were no additional questions, so Attorney Carmichael motioned for an adjournment, and the motion was adjourned by Ann Simpson. No one opposed, so the meeting was adjourned and people left. Again, y'all, so you're going to get an email. The email is going to look like this. Oh, I thought I had redacted that. The email's going to look like what I just flashed on the screen. Anyway, it's going to give you a code. It's going to give you a place to vote. You click on the hyperlink. It already includes the code. It's going to ask you for some information if you've never used the iVote system before. So first and last name, an email address. You put that in twice. You create a password, and then you go forward. Let's see. That's the meeting minutes. The first question, once you get into the ballot itself, is do you approve the annual meeting minutes from 2024? Again, y'all, I cannot even, no, we do not approve. We do not approve. And again, I'm not on Facebook anymore. Thank you to everyone who made that happen. But for the I guess it's people are out there talking about how they're just a draft. It happened a year ago. They were on front steps. I saved them to my Fairfield Harbour folder on this computer. They were on front steps. They are not on front steps today. How are they in draft format? There's nowhere in there at the top of this meeting minutes. There's nowhere up here that says draft board of director officers annual meeting minutes. No annual meeting minutes draft to be voted on at a future. There's no notation up here that these are draft and that we need to look at them in the future and vote on approval of them. There's nothing in here about if you have questions, comments, or if I mischaracterized anything in here or missed anything, please send those questions, comments, concerns to this email address. There's nowhere in the ballot itself for you to note why you do not agree and vote for approval of the meeting minutes, but we don't approve of the meeting minutes. Again, there is a disclaimer on the third page. It just says this is not meant to be a verbatim transcription, obviously, but it should still include the fact that we voted in 2 members of the board of directors, which represent all of us in the Fairfield Harbor. It does not include the fact that we inducted sweet Phylis Wiltrout into the Hall of Fame. It does not include any of the notes about the roads and streets update or the stormwater committee update. It does not include the Hosted America update that our president talked about, and it does not include the update on the road gang. Those are all the things that those meeting minutes do not include. Anywho, okay, and then your second question is going to be, please cast your vote by checking the box next to your selections. This ballot is valid for this vote, establishing a quorum and irrevocable once submitted. If your association documents so provide, this ballot may be used at a subsequent meeting. Quorum needed 7%. Online voting ends June 16th at 11:59. You can click on this link for the attached meeting minutes and the candidate information, and then the candidates selected up to 2. So again, it's Wayne Anderson, Lee Fawcett, Debbie Harris, and Neil Watts ran together, even though alphabetically they're not together in this list. And then you've got Robert Martin, which is also Bob, if you know him as Bob. So you select 2 choices. Then at the bottom, you hit submit. There will be a form that says, here are the 2 things that you voted for, whether you agree or do not agree. Do not agree with or approve the board meeting minutes from 2024. And it'll say these are the 2 people that you selected for the board of director candidates, and it will ask you to review and approve those. You can go back and change them if you mess something up, or once you hit submit, your ballot is gone. Okay? So that's that. But thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, I am just kind of flabbergasted. Again, please go back, and if you have not yet, I see we've got more people joining. If you have not yet gone back, I did the very first minute. It's at one point, or the very first part of this live stream. I replayed last year's annual meeting in full at 1.5 speed just so we could get the context and refresh our memory of what happened a year ago. Then we compared and contrasted what happened in that meeting with what was documented in the meeting minutes. Okay. And there are big pieces of information missing, notably the fact that we elected in 2 new board members and had them join the board. The fact that we did not include the update on roads and streets, we did not include the stormwater committee update, did not include the Hosted America update by our board president at the time, Gail Albertini, did not include the road gang, did not include Phylis Wiltrout, and did not include 2 of the 4, did not include 2 of the 4 questions and answers that were at the end of the meeting. So again, I would encourage folks not to approve those board meeting minutes and ask that they be redone in full context of what was covered at that meeting. And with that, I'm signing off to get back to my day job. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will talk soon. Bye, everybody.